A proud supporter of this program, Riverbend Food Bank's vision is a hunger-free Iowa and Illinois.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory has been serving Quad City families since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds and are proud supporters of WQPT.
Did we just witness the end of the Iowa caucuses? And will it make the Illinois primary more important? Plus, how a risque woman helped save a business and strike up a staged musical in the cities. There are 49 other states that think Iowa shouldn't be the first in the nation presidential test for America. 8 years ago, Iowa Republicans declared Mitt Romney the winner, only to declare Rick Santorum the actual winner 10 days later. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton edged out Bernie Sanders by a fraction of a percentage, but there was no way really to do a recount to make sure. And this year, a new, more transparent system came to a crashing halt due to a technical glitch with a reporting system involving an app and a backup system that wouldn't let precinct coordinators report their results. Joining us is the former chair of the Scott County Democrats, Tom Hart, and Greg Johnson, who's a committee member with the Rock Island County Democrats. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining me. We'll talk about Rock Island in a second. All eyes are on Iowa. The opening question is, was this the death knell for the Iowa caucuses?
Well, I don't know. That's to be seen. We go through this every 4 years, the criticism of Iowa. Now, obviously, this cycle, there's some pretty good reason for criticism.
Well, and it did reach a fevered pitch if you want to judge criticism by what you saw on cable television Monday night into Tuesday.
So we'll see. You know, the upside of Iowa is it's still a great place for retail. You get out and meet people. The downside, obviously, is this. And it's probably not the most representative, but then find me a place it is.
Well, people will argue that it could be Illinois or it could be Ohio, larger states, of course, that are more expensive as media markets, but have a mix of rural and urban areas.
And if you do a larger like that, it's going to take a lot more money.
Let me ask you a second question. Is this the death knell of the caucus?
Well, I would hope not. I mean, I'm a fan of the caucus. You know, at my caucus on Monday night, 227 of my neighbors, people, dozens of people who lived on my street, you know, 10 or 12 blocks of my street that I had not met before. And I think it's just a great opportunity to get together like-minded people and talk about issues.
Greg, you are part of Illinois politics for the longest time. Finally, Iowa politicians are getting kind of a bloody nose, or at least those who will run the party. But you were a volunteer at the Iowa caucus. What was your idea on the first blush as you were helping out with the Iowa caucus statistics?
I worked with Representative Halpin over in Davenport, and our caucus went very smoothly. Thought Mike did a great job, and I was very impressed. I enjoyed watching how the caucus system works, watching everybody get into their particular groups, determining viability, and then watching the groups that weren't viable decide what they were going to do. It's not really any different than what we do in our personal lives, right? We have an initial candidate that we support, and then sometimes we have to go to the next person. So I thought it was I enjoyed myself. I thought it was a very interesting experience.
So the process of the actual caucus is something that you enjoyed. Mm-hmm. You weren't really a part of the reporting, so you didn't understand that frustration.
Absolutely, and I certainly can understand the frustration. It's a shame that the candidates don't get a bump coming out of there. It's too bad that this glitch happened in the system. I think it really created a lot of damage for the Iowa caucus in the future.
And I would agree with that. The other point here is they've chosen to be very exacting about this because in the past, wrong winners have been declared. Mm-hmm. So they're taking their time, they're being cautious, they're really trying to figure out who is winning, and there are different ways to win. You have the raw vote, and you have the delegate allocation. And this is all about getting delegates. So they're reporting both.
But you see how Iowa Republicans do it. It's basically a straight vote in the caucus. Let's be honest, the Democrats are doing an actual caucus. You are caucusing, you're discussing, you're picking candidates. The Republicans don't really have that. Is that a better way to caucus? I mean, do Iowa Republicans have, it's simpler for sure.
It is simpler. It's quicker. I mean, a lot of people come in and my understanding is fill out their slip and leave. Iowa, you really have to commit to staying there a bit because there's realignment. You can't just run in, cast a ballot, and leave.
And to be honest, actually, that was made simpler this time around by Democrats, because if you would have a viable candidate, meaning if one of your candidates had 15% support or more, you could caucus for that person, then leave. So that, in theory, it would have been a little faster.
You can, but it takes quite a while to get there. I mean, you don't do that in 10 or 15 minutes.
No.
You have been a part of Democratic politics in Iowa for a while. I mean, what do you see going forward? I mean, there's going to be a lot of hand wringing and a lot of teeth gnashing over the next few months within the party.
Well, you know, as you get older, you reminisce. My caucus this year was the same caucus I went to the first time in 1972 as an 18-year-old. In 1972, it was in a small classroom. We had maybe a dozen. I'm thinking more, it was like 10. We had 227 this year. They've grown. They're really quite nice events. You see a lot of your neighbors. I would hope that can continue, and these reporting issues are problematic. They're not good. Hopefully they get resolved. We did have an app 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. It worked. We also had the option of the phone numbers. But you know, I remember 4 years ago chasing down a precinct at 11:30 at night, getting somebody out of bed, saying, hey, we don't have your numbers, and them saying, oh, well, I was going to turn them in tomorrow. So there's always a laggard. This time it was obviously a much bigger problem.
Well, it's important to point out that the caucuses are run by the parties. It's not run by a government agency. It is party business is done there.
Well, and it's all volunteers. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of volunteers in Scott County alone. And you duplicate that all throughout Iowa. Nobody gets paid to do this except the state party staff. But this is all volunteers. Everyone that chaired those meetings is volunteer. Then they're secretaries of the meetings, they're people setting up, taking down, hundreds of volunteers in the system.
Well, Greg, as you said, by the end of the night, it was too bad that one candidate couldn't declare victory and the Democrats had to actually board the planes, go to New Hampshire without anything settled in Iowa. So was Donald Trump the big winner, as some people say?
I don't think he's a big winner. I do wonder, you know, Iowa likes their first going first. I mean, the attacks by the Trump campaign on the Iowa caucuses, I'm not sure sits well with a lot of Republicans either. If they were to lose, they're standing as the first to elect.
Because that's very true. I mean, when you talk to the state chairman, Jeff Kaufman of the Republican Iowa state chairman, he wanted the Democrats to run smoothly too. He said that's the one big bipartisan thing between Iowa Democrats and Republicans, and we want the caucus to run well. But let me ask you that.
It's nice we agree on something.
on something. But let me ask you that in retrospect as well. Let's say Donald Trump wins in November and is reelected to another term. Will the Democratic candidate, whoever is running against President Trump, will they look back and go, Iowa was where it started going wrong? And vice versa. If a Democrat wins in November and becomes elected, if you think back 12 years ago, the Iowa caucuses weren't going anywhere because Barack Obama won Iowa and he loved Iowa. But now you're going to have a Democrat in office who's going to go, Iowa didn't help me any.
That's always a problem.
So do you see that as going to be the real, I mean, that you may not have any support come next year?
Well, there's, you know, there are a lot of detractors of this.
Powerful.
Others, right. And we'll just have to see. It's hard to answer because even if you're opposed to this, what's a better system? That's the question.
Well, I mean, a couple of them that have been answered. One is, why don't you have a rotating group of states every 4 years? Or why don't you pick a state such as an Ohio or an Illinois that may be more expensive, but is more representative from the urban and rural as well as the racial makeups of the United States?
Well, and those are fair criticisms. The problem, though, is you need a lot of money to compete in bigger states. You need less to come into Iowa.
Tell us about Illinois. If Iowa didn't clear it at all and may have even muddied the campaign as of right now, is Illinois going to be a bigger deal come this spring?
I sure hope so. I mean, our primary is March 17th. I don't think anything's really going to be clear. We have Super Tuesday coming up on the 3rd, and it's looking more and more like there's still going to be at least 3 or 4 viable candidates after the 3rd. So I think Illinois is going to play a very important part in this primary.
Is that, I mean, I know you look forward to it for being important for Illinois, but is that good for the party, that you wouldn't have a definite decision early in March?
I do think it's good for the party. I mean, I think competition is always good. You know, Donald Trump came out of a 17-person primary on the Republican side. I think the longer you're out there, the longer you're in the spotlight and your views are coming clear, your vision for what this country needs to overcome the last 4 years, I think the longer that conversation goes, the more people you bring onto your side. Absolutely.
Let me ask you another purely political question, as I probably should, and that is, you take a look at who actually did win the Iowa caucus. And some might say Joe Biden may have won the Iowa caucuses only because he finished so poorly, but that wasn't the headline the next morning. He escaped a bullet.
I don't think, it may not be the headline, but you know, the polling coming out of the caucus was spot on, except for you could have flipped Biden, Buttigieg. And you know, and the issue we're having is, it would appear to me that it's possible that Mayor Pete has taken that moderate lane away from Joe Biden. And I think Biden has a real concern on his hands right now, I do.
Was that a real bad night for Pete Buttigieg because he couldn't stand up there and declare a total victory? And as a matter of fact, was the last to go in front of the podium just before midnight.
Well, I think it still gets noticed and talked about. But I think the really big story about coming out of Iowa, how close it remains. We've got 3 that are very close, and we've got 2, Biden and Klobuchar, that are not far behind. So this could go on for months, and I don't think that's unhealthy. I think that's a good thing. Democrats have a great field to choose from.
You know, technology, what it is, these candidates, even though there weren't official numbers out, Mayor Pete, he knew the numbers. They had people in every single spotters on every single caucus site where they were taking pictures of the results. And that's why all of these candidates had a really good idea. That's why Biden kind of tried to play it down at the end of the night. Mayor Pete declared himself a winner. Their people were sending them the numbers. They had the numbers from the caucus. Even though the numbers weren't official, they knew what the numbers were for the most part.
And I was getting emails yesterday from multiple candidates declaring victory. So yeah, they did have the numbers.
Which was kind of expected with the Iowa caucus system, is that you could have declared victory after what they were calling the first alignment, the first vote. You could have declared it after the second alignment, and then of course the state delegate count at the end. It wasn't going to clarify the field all that much, the Iowa caucuses.
A caucus is very different from a primary, because a primary you go in, you select one. A caucus, there are nuances to get there in who you're selecting. And then what do you report as far as numbers? Do you report delegate count or raw numbers of who people were supporting?
Why don't you move me forward then just a little bit instead of going way forward to Illinois? Tell me about New Hampshire. What do you think Iowa did to set up New Hampshire?
Bernie is a neighbor there.
So does that, yeah, exactly.
So I think it's a bit skewed.
Okay, and then is South Carolina skewed then for the former vice president?
A comparable was in '92. The caucuses didn't mean a lot for the Democrats because Harkin was in the race.
Yeah, favorite
son.
So
it was just like, well, okay.
Yeah.
And Bernie won New Hampshire by 30 points 4 years ago.
So maybe we discount New Hampshire as well, of course, because Bernie Sanders is from neighboring Vermont?
I think Nevada is the next state that we're really going to be interested to see just where it comes out.
Even more so than South Carolina?
Well, I believe Biden is probably in a strong position in South Carolina, but if things continue to break badly for him, he could possibly lose some of his status in South Carolina if they don't think that he's viable at that point.
And then, of course, once again, Nevada's another caucus state.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
But organization matters in those.
Very much so. Tom Hart, Greg Johnson, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it. It's very nice of you to be here. Now, for some, cabin fever might be sinking in right now. February is just beginning, and there's still plenty of winter still ahead. But Laura Adams says there's also still a lot of great events that can make the winter months a lot of fun. Here's Laura, out and about.
This is Out and About for February 3rd through 9th. Attend Earth Hour at Western Illinois University Quad Cities featuring guest speaker meteorologist Eric Sorensen. Shop at the annual Valentine Shopping Expo at the Geneseo Masonic Lodge February 8th, or check out the Factory of Fear for a unique way to celebrate Valentine's Day February 7th and 8th. Eastern Iowa Community College in downtown Davenport is holding a symposium to look at the impact of immigration raids and human trafficking on February 8th at 9 a.m. The Davenport chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority hosts their Cotton Club Gala February 8th at the Waterfront Convention Center, while Have a Heart for the Homeless holds their fundraising luncheon at Jumer's Casino February 8th at 11:30. Augustana hosts their international dinner February 7th starting at 4:30. Or enjoy these art exhibits, Finding God in the Dark at the Kaddish Gallery, St. Ambrose University through February 6th, and Anatomy of the Senses, an art show by Caitlin Walsh at the Bearskin Gallery through February 27th. At the Speakeasy, there's Viva La Divas, their drag show on February 7th. St. Ambrose hosts Casual Classics at Galvin Fine Arts February 7th at 5, while the Augustana Chamber Singers perform at the Westerland Lodge February 5th at 1:30. And Live at 5 presents Mercury Brothers performing February 5th at the River Music Experience at 5. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. Lojo Russo loves music. She plays the bass, guitar, and mandolin, weaving together her own original works with her unique style. Lojo joined us at the Black Box Theater in Moline with one of her originals. So here's Lojo Russo with Street Sing.
A battered case tells the story of the ride. There's a little piece of sidewalk where he spends his days, like an island in a sea of discontents. He's a street singer, bell ringer, calling the weary to the fold. He's a to weave his magic spell, and he waits for you to slow your pace, and he knows his song hasn't found its mark. He's a sidewalker, smooth talker, small comfort for the soul. He's a town crier, sings like an angel on his way to hell, shows you the way when you're lost. noise in the crowd. The coin is tossed, the bargain paid. He starts again, it's time to move on. He's a street singer. He's a bell ringer. He's a town crier for the lion, turning gospel into gold, turning gospel into gold, turning gospel into gold.
Lojo Russo with Street Sing. Over the next few weeks, she's playing concerts in Galena, Dyersville, and Ankeny. She's scheduled to be back in the cities for a concert in the village of East Davenport next month. Well, what's a guy to do when his family shoe business is starting to fail? Well, Circa Dinner Theater has found an answer. It involves music, laughter, and some kinky boots. The director of the latest stage production of Kinky Boots, Seth Rhines, joins us to talk about the Tony Award-winning musical that's at Circa until mid-March. So tell me about Kinky Boots. Tell me about this play, this musical.
Okay, well, it ran on Broadway for 6.5 years, based on a true story of a young man whose father passed away and the factory was failing, the shoe factory, and so he tries to give it a new life and comes up with some strange and interesting solutions. I mean, that's basically what it's about, but it is a true story.
Is there something about like a comedy like this that you're attracted? I mean, you have done what, some 400 productions.
Yeah.
Is there a certain genre that you really enjoy? I mean, is this liberating or is this more work?
No, this show is particularly important because besides being a lot of fun and very colorful and having great music, has a great message, and it's all about accepting diversity and just accepting people, you know, and it's just a really nice message, and that's what I like about it.
But also on the technical side, I mean, this is somewhat elaborate too. I mean, you've got amazing costuming that's going on for this production.
Yeah, this is the first regional theater production of it. I toured through. I think it played the Adler, but it is toured through. But we have the Broadway costumes. And the Broadway costumes are hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gowns and whatever. I mean, there's one costume that has 4,000 individual gems and beads hand sewn on. I mean, it's just, so if people want to come see the show and really get a good look at it, sit down front because you'll see these absolutely incredible costumes. Yeah, it's just being done now, just starting to open up outside of the national tours.
And that's amazing that we're so fortunate to have that here in the Quad Cities. Right. But let's be honest, if somebody absolutely hates the theater but loves fashion,
yes, they would love it too.
It's a twofer here.
And I think if people like sitcoms, they're going to like it because it's just an extended sitcom, really. A happy ending, kind of a sad beginning with the death of the father, but it's something that everyone can relate to on some level, you know, whether it's just survival, you know, worried about losing your job, or whether it's other things just being accepted by everyone.
Mm-hmm. Once again, on the technical side, we're talking about a lot of choreography. There's a lot of dance as well. Does that prove to be a challenge?
Not for me, because I have a great choreographer named Christy Kerr, who actually was at Circa over 20 years ago. She choreographed 42nd Street and played Anytime Annie. So for her, it's kind of like coming home. We've worked together a lot. I actually hired her in her first professional production. She's now on the U of A campus down in Tucson. Great stuff. Some of it is inspired by the original Broadway stuff, and then she's added her own take to it. And it is a challenge. It's also a challenge to take men who maybe weigh 250 pounds and put them in high spike heels and not have them fall off the stage.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's a plus.
But it's a, you know, and then we also rented a package of very specific props pieces that have to do with building boots and, you know, all that kind of thing that it would have taken just too long to do it here. at Circa, so we brought some of those things in.
And you are coming off of the Circa production of Singing in the Rain. So talk about going from one to another.
Very different. One is a classical musical, well known by, and particularly loved by a large audience. You know, some say that Singing in the Rain is the best movie musical ever made. This is a much more contemporary piece with music by Cyndi Lauper, with a script by Harvey Fierstein, who wrote Torch Song Trilogy and La Cage and God knows how many other things. Mm-hmm. But it's a show. It was fun last night to see an audience. It was like a rock concert. I mean, there were people screaming. It was amazing, you know, and I had to go in last night and say, okay, now we know we have to hold on this line because there's going to be this laugh that could be 30 seconds long, you know, so, you know, the next few nights, in the first few weeks of the run, we're going to be kind of tailoring it to finding out, you know,
because you just do not know in rehearsal until you get in front of an audience. So what is it about Circa? I mean, your history with Circa goes way back, but there's something about Circa you must like.
First of all, I love the fact that Denny really likes or tries to do great theater. He's a businessman, but he's an artist first.
You're talking about Denny Hitchcock.
Denny Hitchcock, yeah. Who we've been friends. We met in the 70s, and I actually helped as a consultant in the opening of the theater, and have been directing for the theater for, I hate to say 43 years.
So let's not say that.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, we've just gone back a long time. Really, really, you know, so for me, it's great to come home to Rock Island. You know, I think the two most exciting productions I've ever worked on, one was the National Tour of Sunday in the Park, which Denny produced, and we actually rehearsed some of it out on Arsenal Island, and this show means a lot to me. You know, I saw it in New York, and it was one of those things I saw it and I said, someday I hope I get to do it. And the guy who's starring in it, who's playing Lolo, who's the drag performer, personally has told me that he had set a goal that by the time he was 25, he wanted to play this role, and he's 25 in 2 weeks, you know, so it means a lot to him and to all of us, you know, yeah.
The director of the latest stage production of Kinky Boots, Seth Rhines. It's rated PG-13. It runs now until mid-March at Circa. WQPT has a commitment to military families in the cities. We call it Embracing the Military. And Army Community Services is holding its family game night this Thursday night at Heritage Hall. There will be a life-size game of Jenga, there's tug of war, bags, and a game of troop transport. The night ends with a game of Capture the Flag. It starts at 6 Thursday in Heritage Hall. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device, thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
A proud supporter of this program, Riverbend Food Bank's vision is a hunger-free Iowa and Illinois.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory has been serving Quad City families since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds and are proud supporters of WQPT.